Why, in your opinion, Ukraine still hasn't received fighter jets? And for us, when I speak about fighter jets, it's not those of Soviet fighter jets. We are expecting the Western fighter jets, the more modern ones like F-16. And after looking with all of the drama around tanks, which took a lot of time, we feel like it's time to provide also fighter jets for Ukraine. It's the only weapon which we haven't received so far, and for us it's still hard to understand why.
Well, the short answer is I agree with you. The slightly longer answer is the following. There are basically three arguments leveled against the immediate delivery of Western modern fighter jets to Ukraine. First one is that it takes too long to train, and it's not only training, it's not only pilot training, it's also providing infrastructure. A modern jet is not just the plane, it is the entire command and control, reconnaissance, radar, fire control systems, and all this. Plus, of course, the ammunition and so on that has to match the plane. So all this taken together is allegedly too complex to deliver planes right now. The second argument is that there is a red line. Russia has told us that if we deliver fighter jets, then they're going to use nuclear weapons or whatever. And the third argument is that actually, in the current situation of the war, fighter planes are of limited use, and so they wouldn't radically change the situation on the ground, and also to massively use fighter bombers in an offensive capacity would create a whole new set of problems with Russian air defense, which is actually not so bad as we have seen. Russia has quite modern and quite functional air defense systems with the S-300 and especially S-400. Okay, so let's tackle these three arguments. First of all, training. Ukrainians have put to shame the predictions about how long it takes to train them in all the other weapon systems that were delivered over the last 14 months. So infrastructure indeed is that part of the argument is slightly more valid. But there again, if we really try, we can deliver the infrastructure as well, and the ammunition and all this. So that argument is only half valid, I would say. Now, the red lines, I have to laugh. We have crossed our own red lines so many times. And you brought the example of tanks, but also other artillery systems, artillery missiles, air defense systems. On all these systems, there were Russian threats that completely failed to materialize after the systems were delivered to Ukraine. And in our own countries, the things that were declared impossible a year ago, or 9 months ago, or 7 months ago, suddenly became possible shortly after. So don't talk to me about red lines. Frankly speaking, if we're talking especially about fighter planes, as opposed to strategic bombers, if we just talk about fighter planes, I cannot see Russia suddenly stepping up or escalating the war, as it's called. So, third argument, and this I think has some credibility. Fighter planes would indeed make it much easier for Ukraine to defend its own airspace against Russian planes, but also slow-flying drones, for example. It would be much, much easier for Ukrainian air defense to not only intercept 70% or 80% of a swarm of drones that is launched, but actually 100%. That would be possible with a solid number of modern Western fighter planes. But I think it has to be taken seriously that this would, of course, indeed protect civilian infrastructure and energy infrastructure much more effectively. But it would certainly not help to protect against hypersonic missiles, of which, fortunately, Russia possesses only few. And we would also have to be aware, indeed, that the Ukrainian counteroffensive, which is coming in a few weeks, would not be strategically made easier by this. On the other hand, and summarizing this whole argument, I would say psychologically it would make a huge difference for Ukraine. It would be a sign of continued support for Ukrainian victory. I think it would be extremely important for Ukrainians. And yes, it would be of limited but important military use. And all the red line arguments and the complexity of training and so on, I would really dismiss, or most of those arguments. So this is my summary, and I believe the fighter planes are coming. I mean, behind closed curtains, the training is going on already. We all know this. It's just not the delivery